Welcome back, everybody, to Deciphering My Experience. My name is Eric, and today we are joined by, I'm going to try to get this correctly. It's not Laura, it's Laura. Okay, so it's Laura, and she is also an experiencer in the SSP community with a interesting history. I've been saying lately that we're going to try to get other folks on and share their 20%, their differences in their life. So welcome to the show, Laura. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm getting ready for sunshine and summertime, and just enjoying Alaska as we transition towards the fairer seasons. We're still quite far from it, but I'm starting to see the transition, so that makes me happy.
Good. Sunshine is good.
So, is it good weather by you?
I'm in Utah, so it snowed a little bit, but it's not bad. It's been crazy.
Okay.
Cold, hot. 50 degrees. Now we're down to, 20, 30. We're good though. It's pretty. So.
Well, let's jump right into this and let the
let's do.
know what's going on. And I would just say that Laura and I have been chatting behind the scenes exclusively in some emails, and it seems that we see things similarly. So Laura decided that she wanted to talk. So I guess let's start there, Laura. What got you interested in the Deciphering My Experience angle, I guess?
First of all, just the way that's phrased, the name that you chose, because for me, I'm not like a lot of these people who have these visual memories or auditory memories. For me, it's little flashes with a lot of emotions. I almost can see an image of like the system or the cycle or the way things work, but not necessarily. I couldn't tell you my title, my name. So when you talk to people, I like how you aren't so trying to prove a point or facts. What fact checkers are just going to come along with their, bull crap and just say it's fake anyway. But when you feel truth, you know it. It doesn't just make sense here, it makes sense here, and
I totally feel that. That's that whole knowing thing for sure. I totally get that.
And I'm very drawn to you giving different people a platform and you speaking also. And it's more of a discussion rather than preaching or cult-like with these terminologies and families. And, it's a breath of fresh air. And I think it's a healing place to grow and connect and learn and like decipher and remember who we really are, why we're here, and flow with it and heal.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it. There's a lot to be said for the remembering and the healing part for sure. So glad you.
And they seem to go together, so that's good.
Yep. Right. So now in your past, I know from the email that you have been aware for a while. It seems like, is that correct?
Yes. It started with recurring memories and dreams. Recurring dreams. So I'm shaking. It's
okay.
I had a satanic ritual abuse. Am I allowed to say that on here?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yep.
By my dad's dad, when we were living in their basement, my dad had gotten injured and we had to move into their basement. And recurring dreams about, black widows, very symbolic, and the whole front yard black widows, and hearing a baby screaming in the house and needing to go through the black widows to help it, and tons of dreams where like people call them like dreamtime scenarios where they reset over and over and having to find a way out, and the second that you do, you're reset and that way is closed and you have to find a new way out. And I don't know exactly if that means I was like testing these scenarios to make them airtight for later use in programming, or whether that was just torture to split me.
It's very
I still don't understand the why, but
I had dreams similarly, I guess you'd say. Your description, I can imagine scenarios.
Gorilla through people's backyards that there was never anyone around, and I don't know if it's a different dimension or underground set type place. And I'd be like naked, tons of kids running. We'd usually have to be racing somewhere to save a child. And if I didn't get there soon enough, I knew it would be gone. And sometimes I could fly, sometimes I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same scenario, but it wasn't always the same setting.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. It seems like in your description of things, what seems familiar to me would be like the activity, what's
Yeah.
going on, but not so much the details, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't ever recall seeing a gorilla in a dream, but I do recall the recycling of the dream, as you're stating it in a way, and then the like the mission orientation of
Yeah.
evacing kids was, I mean, it's a pretty common standard.
Yeah.
Um,
So those were the majority of my night times, but I do have tiny snippets of what I believe were possibly 20 and back or whatever and backs.
mhm.
Like weird stuff where what show was I watching on Netflix? The Umbrella Academy. They In my dream I was in pantsuit. It looked like an elementary school, the white shiny floor, an auditorium type place. And we were sending information through tubes
Mhm.
like they do with the bank. For real. And I saw that in the show. I'm like, oh, now no one's going to believe me. They're going to think I was just watching that show. And that happened so much. I'm just like, oh, I'm a hipster. I was doing that way before it was cool. I mean, and annoying things like having to babysit some Saudi type prince that reeked and thought he was so cool. And I knew that I wasn't going to get any slack from the job I had to do babysitting his butt.
Mhm.
And him acting so soft and me just being bugged and wanting to get back to my job because I wasn't going to get, if I didn't get my job done, they didn't care that they told me someone came and told me to do something else.
Mhm.
Other little snippets of like being in, this sounds so weird, but I just was in the roof, like above the ceiling. It was like a glass ceiling, and just BSing and putting like clips and, ammo and different things in pockets, like geared up like Lara Croft type. But it was like a 5-second clip, and that one's recurred. Things like, oh, see, this is so weird because they're so different. I have ones where I feel like I'm being debriefed, me and a bunch of girls sitting cross-legged around a big rug and some guy standing there with a big screen on the wall. I feel like I was used to remote view things, but I don't have, the memories are very short, but the feeling is stuck with me. They're
Mhm.
like 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Mhm.
So it's hard to piece it all together, but it's enough similar with other people that,
Mhm. Laura, do you in your waking state, do you think that, or have you experienced deja vu with any regularity or frequency?
not for a long time, but I did last night
Oh,
for
good.
the first time in years. No,
Interesting.
about 2 years ago, I used to have it in clusters where it would happen a lot. And I haven't for about a year and a half. And it happened last night as I was up all night,
Mhm.
coloring my hair, listening to videos, and some comment just hit me like, I've seen this before.
Mhm.
And you know what my idea is about that? Do you think that's where do you think that has to do with the 20 and backs where you're like put back down on a little bit earlier and you're reliving it again?
I
Or you
think that
have lived it?
I think is absolutely something that the people using people in the 20 and back programs can take advantage of. Does that make sense? Like I think it is something
A
that
marker or
well,
something? What do
it's
you think?
I think deja vu is something that we can experience there's like a normal function in reality to it, right? In our consciousness and the way that our consciousness functions within this, meat suit that we
Meat
run
suit.
around in. But with that being said, I do feel that SSP type programs can take advantage of such reality. So, yes, you can have deja vu and it can be SSP related, but I don't think that it's inherently an SSP activity. No, I think there's also other things that could be going on with your consciousness at the time of deja vu. Um,
Yeah.
I pay attention. There's a guy named Anthony Peake that I'm sure is going to be screaming through the ranks of modern society because he's right about a lot of things when it comes to consciousness, and he's written a lot of books on the topic, and he's just unknown for some reason. I think probably because he's right.
Because he's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I used to communicate with him before I got thrown off of Facebook. I was Facebook friends with this author, and we would chat about stuff that I had experienced. Like I've been deciphering my experience for quite some time, even before I've gone on air. Like I was very, intrigued by a lot of
Well,
things.
yeah, you had to have something to bring, right?
Yeah, so I've had tons of deja vu in my life, like lots and lots of deja vu, and it saved my butt a bunch of times. And I communicated this to him, and one of the ideas that we shared was that it's like a possibility that
Is
it's
it
like
like
a
a
video game,
junction?
like a video game, right? So
Yeah.
I grew up playing Super Mario Brothers, you know.
Yes, me too.
So remember, like, you know, there'd be like level 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and then oh, you passed 1.4, so now you're on 2.1, 2.2. But
Mhm.
if if the 2 level goes up to say like 2.12 and you're on 2.9, you don't die and go all the way back to 2.0. It'll
The
drop
back
you
save
back like
point.
it'll drop you back to like a reset point. That's what deja vu
Interesting.
is. So I always feel like at a
Like an
deja vu,
anchor,
in a way,
kinda.
a protection. You're not totally dead.
Hmm.
And it's like you should be careful, I think, when deja vu occurs. It's like move forwards with more caution.
I have had one where it didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Have you had one of those?
I would I would imagine I would have had to. Like you're saying it right off the top of my head. Yeah.
It
So it's like
Mine was during a very heightened
there's
dramatic
deja
instant,
vus.
and
There's deja
mhm,
vus where everything that you
up
are
until a point, and then I waited and nothing happened. And some guy was supposed to come in and hurt me, and no one came in the door
fair
of my
enough. Yeah,
apartment. It
yeah,
was
that's
left
the way I would look
open.
at
It
it.
was traumatic. Yeah.
Something that
Or
you
maybe I did
expected
die and
to
I was on
occur.
a different timeline now. Who knows?
Something you expected to occur didn't occur, and that's like when the deja vu drops out.
Yeah.
It's over. You know, you're
But
sitting
something
there.
else was supposed to happen. Like I remembered something else
Mhm.
5 minutes down, 5 seconds down. Up
Mhm.
until then, it was exactly.
Yep.
And then I was waiting for the next part that I knew was coming, and it just didn't. I've only had
Yeah.
that happen one time, and it was very emotionally heightened, very traumatic. So
Interesting. I never
that's
really
one I
thought
have
about it
not
that way,
figured
but
out.
you're right.
I
It
haven't.
happens a couple times.
What do
Whew,
you think about that? Do you think you timeline jump like
that's interesting.
an
Until
edit?
right now, I
Someone's
hadn't
just
really
like,
thought about it. I'm more of a brooder. I'm like, I'm gonna have to think about that later.
that's fine. Sometimes it usually doesn't hit me when I'm trying to think of it later when I'm not
Yeah.
chasing the idea. Pop.
Yeah. You just popped that
Yeah.
thought in my head, though. I'll have to think about that one. It's like, what does that mean when the
I
deja
don't
vu
know,
pattern breaks? Hmm.
but it was so significant. I still remember I was
I'll tell you what,
18 in my first apartment.
I'm gonna double down on my previous position. It means you should be double careful.
Yeah. And
It means
maybe
you
I
should
was,
really
maybe
pay attention.
it's burned in my mind. So, and I
Mhm,
was like 18, 19, I'm turning 40 this year. It's been 20 years and that's burned in my mind.
mhm. So now
This,
I'm sitting here thinking with your experiences that you presented so far. I just want to clarify it. Now, were
sure.
these um is this stuff that you recalled your entire life or hadn't recalled for a while and then it came back to you when you were talking about like the time when you had to move into your relative's home and things weren't so awesome? Like were these things that you had forgotten and they came back?
No, no,
Okay.
I remembered them
Okay.
because it was right before the abuse, but
Mhm.
after the abuse for in my early childhood, I have very little memory. But right before the abuse is crystal clear.
Okay. Mhm,
Um, the actual abuse, I don't, but leading right up into it, I do, and then it's emotional memory.
mhm,
And then I've had people like Ackville do sessions. I've had a couple other healers and people. Um, and then I just had all the symptoms. My
mhm,
other cousins, like when I was telling my sister about some of the satanic things with the drinking the blood, with I remember right after it happened, throwing up blood when my parents came home, and they were rocking me, my grandma and grandpa, on a little love seat thing, and I'm still throwing up blood, and I feel so sick. I think I had been drugged. My head hurt, and they gave me this little naked baby doll, the ones that you like give the bottle and they pee. Had red curly hair. I can remember the smell of the plastic is burned in my mind. And it wasn't to comfort me, it was to remind me of the baby that was sacrificed, that I had just drank its blood. So when my parents got home, I haven't gotten an answer from my mom as to why I wasn't taken to the emergency room. um, sorry, stuff.
no worries.
Anyway, so I remember that part. I don't remember the actual abuse. I remember before and after, and then I have had ulcers ever since then.
Mhm,
Um, PTSD, agoraphobia, social anxiety, insomnia, all that jazz that goes with it. And then when I told my sister about it, she's like, "Oh, have you been talking to your cousin, your crazy cousin? She's been saying that same crap." I'm like, oh, well, thanks for the what's the word?
Thanks for the intel. I'd be like, no, I haven't, but what's her number? Apparently there's someone I can talk to about this.
Well, but she had told on the same grandpa. So I knew I wasn't crazy. Kind of like, thanks for reassuring me that I'm not nuts.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a creep. He called us little monkeys. Everyone thought it was funny. He was dehumanizing us, you know. Anyway, he's gone now, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm. So now, I had forgotten that you had written to me that you had a session with Akvil.
Yes.
How did that go?
I found out I'm way stronger than I think. I've had much more spiritual help than I knew, but I am attacked on such a different level that I didn't even know was possible, but it also makes sense. And I'm also really proud of myself, where a lot of these things I held on to, like the idea that I was good. My first energy healer tried to take it away from me because it was a false belief that I had to put this little seed around myself and tell myself I was good and protect this idea that I was good and that I'd have to. This sounds so narcissistic, but the idea she took, because she thought it was unhealthy, was that I was going to have to try harder than other people and to not compare myself. It's a way of, you know, and from what I found out, yeah, she did this session right after mine based, kind of triggered by mine that says, it's not your fault. Where she talked about, you know, doing a session for ritual abuse and how bad she was attacked afterward. That was me. Sorry, Akvil, I love you. And Rich was nice when he sent back the email after saying, wow, you're one of those few people who's so lucky to, you know, to realize firsthand just how traumatic and harsh this physical world can be. I've been targeted for many lifetimes, not just one, and it's by a group. And apparently it's the whole consciousness, because I'm here to wake people up. I'm not here to get on the good side. I'm not here to yay, spiritual warrior. No. I'm waking up everyone. I don't care what side you chose to play on. I'm waking you up and saying, hey, do you know that you're not really here? Whole Hall of a Mentee thing. Like, do you really, like, let's get out of here and let's go start a new game somewhere else. This one's kind of, you know. So the consciousness itself is not real happy with me, and both sides team up. Anyway, the only thing that was a surprise was that they haven't been able to stop me very much for a really long time. And I don't give up, and they hate me, but because of that, they're using me as a battery, and I have thousands of clones, which makes sense from what other energy healers didn't understand. Like, I see your energy, and there's tons of little gold cords to you, but it doesn't feel good. Well, now I know what those were corded to and why. And so things line up from a lot of different energy healers or healers that have different belief systems that were interpreting differently. And I feel like she was the most spot on. And nothing was really a surprise, except for I haven't been stopped as much as, you know, I was led to believe I haven't made any difference. I'm just trying to survive and keep my head above water and keep my sense of self. But apparently I've not done too bad.
Fair enough, right?
So yeah, but that's just my first session. I have one more where I'm going to hopefully have her help unlock my abilities and memories, because that's something that was blocked, obviously, for all of us. I think we've all been through this crap. If you're someone who had, people like us have just been bigger pain in the butts with keep waking up, and they have to keep hitting us like whack-a-mole. I won't stop.
It's a very big reason that I do what I do, is I just want to get people thinking in these directions, because for the folks that it matters, it'll matter. When their brains start thinking about this stuff, it'll crack open doors and windows and flip light switches on for the right people. It's all it really boils down to. The statistics, or I shouldn't say the statistics, but the information from the CIA's own documents was that they were doing these programs ravenously. So just because they're not, you know, discussing all the people that they worked on, and because the programs work, people don't remember, it doesn't mean they're not out there.
Well, I don't know if this fits right now, but the thing I was led or felt inspired to watch all night when I couldn't sleep was, I haven't thought about it for a really long time, but it kind of fit together when I was meditating and pondering and asking ancestors, spiritual family, and friends to help me know what to focus on, what I need to clear, make sure I'm cutting cords, all of that stuff. I had a feeling to go back and research and listen to Centers for Troubled Teens, the troubled teen industry. I was one of those, put through one of those brainwashing systems. And the more I think about it, boy, some of us, they have to, like, if our programming breaks down from the SRA, SSP, same thing, I think, just different modalities to get you in that door. A lot of us, I think they're becoming way more widespread because people are waking up. Energy is shifting. We are growing. They can't stop a growth. They can, try to keep breaking us and breaking us. At a certain point, the more you try and don't give up, they can't stop you.
Well, they literally have to change the world around us, so to say, right? Because,
Yeah.
they have to come up with shows. They have to come up, like, literally,
Yeah.
Now
And
we
the
see
tech and the
now we see the
frequencies and the
programs.
food, the
We
metal.
literally
Oh,
see the
yeah.
programs did exist way back when. Okay. So there were people all these years that are like, hey, you know what? They're making TV shows to distract us from what they're really doing. Right. And everyone laughed. Ha ha ha. You're a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist.
You know what's probably going to save us all? Tinfoil hats.
Probably, technically. Tinfoil bodysuits.
Yeah, no kidding.
But now, way back when in the 90s, we had a television series called Stargate.
That was one of my favorite movies, the actual full-length movie.
Totally understood. Yep. And, but now look at all the sciences that we have that are popping up. The actual technologies exist now for the stuff that we were shown in Hollywood when you and I were children. And now we're also learning that, lo and behold, these programs were using these technologies when we were children.
Well, think about even She-Ra and He-Man, multidimensional, having powers, knowing that you're godlike, but you're like some half-breed. I mean, really? Okay. Yeah, it's not far-fetched at all. Because they have to tell us, but they want to exploit us and make sure we're invalidated, don't have a sense of self. We're assigning those memories or abilities or knowing to a TV show and letting it invalidate us that way. Yeah, totally.
It gets frustrating, but then, like you said, like from your experiences, that you can see these things and you can know and you can have these feelings and flashes.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's how mine are. They're visual flashes with feeling, with intense feeling.
And that's the type of stuff that people actually can't remove from you.
No.
And that's what should empower people to take their experiences, their personal 20%, and embrace it, because no one can ever take that from you.
Yes, but you're the only one who can validate it and hang on to it and not push it aside, not misassign the meaning. Not, like, I think people who feel what's going on in the world, but they don't want to believe what's going on, they'll grab onto the fake hoaxes, like global warming, because they feel something's wrong here. So that feeling is yours, but what are you going to hook it to? What are you going to hook it to? You got to make sure you're not just looking for something because you don't want to feel those deep feelings. Because if you don't feel, you can't heal.
True. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a bad thing in the community, actually. People talk about, like, I've heard the term toxic positivity. I think works well enough for my vernacular. These people that, no matter what you present them, their response is always like, just like smile and cheer up and think positively and everything will be better. And I mean, I get that's a good.
At what point is that denial,
Exactly. Where's the line switch?
Yeah.
It's at some point you have to take action to prevent yourself from having the next bad thing happen.
And when you're going back to your vomit versus processing, come on. If you're rationalizing, you're arguing with your intuition, stop it. If there's that conversation going on from a feeling and you're talking yourself out of something, you're arguing, your ego and your intuition are arguing. So you got to figure out which side's which. And
it seems to me like lots of times people are actually just ignoring their problems, and then also they don't want to hear any negativity, because then it would require them to confess that they also have problems they're not dealing with.
I have to say something on this. It's so important that everyone ignores. Okay. You've heard of Dr. Emoto and the water, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, do the rice experiment, everybody, but don't just have 2 jars. There's a 3rd jar that's called ignore. You don't even put a label on it. You hide it somewhere. So if you repress something or ignore it, it gets way more energy.
Did you say rice experiment?
The rice experiment, you cook some rice, I
Oh,
ran
I don't
the
know this.
baby.
I don't know this. When you said Masaru Emoto, that's the
This is
water
based
scientist,
on
but I don't know the rice one.
this is based on his work. So this is
Oh,
a thing you can do at home. I challenge everyone, get baby food jars. I love baby food anyway. I have stomach problems. It's better than pudding. Yummy. Run them through the dishwasher, make sure they're sanitized. Use the same pot of rice and put in 3 jars. Seal them up, put a label love on one, hate on one, and don't put a label on the third. You're ignoring it. It doesn't exist to you. Make sure they're in the same light. Maybe put them in a cupboard or something where the ignore one can be back behind, but they're not getting different amounts of dark light. I mean, within reason. This isn't science. This is for your own experience, to acknowledge your power of your thoughts, your emotions. And you talk to those and you think about them every day. And boy, at the end of, I think it was 6 weeks I did, but I don't know if they say whatever time, 30 days, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. Check them, set a time. I can't remember if there's a specific date you're supposed to go. I went 30 days, 30, 40 days. And my loved one, I've got some work to do of healing because it wasn't perfect. It had a little spot of kind of yellowish gold. My hate one, dude, I don't know what's wrong with my hate because mine wasn't like others. Mine was turned almost to a pudding, like caustic, like acidic. It is like, anyway, it was very thin and runny, but there was no mold. My ignore one, I had a whole ecosystem. I was their god, man. There was green, there was red, there was brown. I mean, the amount of energy that was in the jar that I ignored. Oh, hate didn't have anything on the ignore. And if you have things that are unresolved, it's going to fester. It takes more energy to feel it and process it. And if you love yourself, you need to be willing to feel so you can heal. And guess what? Debriding sucks. Going in and scrubbing those deep wounds to get out that gunk to heal is hard. And that's the hardest part of healing. Do you love yourself enough to dive deep, to feel that? Because, going through trauma, you can disassociate. You don't even have to be in your body. You're running, you're in survival, you're can be on a different kind of autopilot. When that's done and that letdown is over and you're exhausted, no one will be there. You're not running. You don't know which way to go. You have to love yourself enough to debride, to scrub when no one else is going to make you. No one's going to chase you to do it. That's the hardest part of healing, is doing that work that only you can do for yourself. And if no one's going to make you do it.
Yep. It's
That's the
very
sucky
true.
part of free will. But no one can stop you either.
What other modalities have you tried besides the session with Ockville?
With myself, I love tarot. I love the tarot.
I've recently started with tarot.
The
I would say
hero's
I'm
journey
dabbling.
is great. I want to make my own that has the ether, the 5th element in it, and I like true sidereal astrology that uses the actual size and constellations in the sky, like Libra's little, Scorpio's little, Virgo's huge, giving them each 30 degrees. Come on, what's the point in charting the sky if you're not going to be accurate, right?
Interesting.
And just from keeping a little journal and watching it, you can really see how much is placebo and how much is really energy around you, not just on your own, happening to your own body. But tarot is pretty good at following a lot of the, earth, air, fire, water, emotions, physical, passions, thoughts. And for me, since I do see in pictures and emotions, when I play with those cards and I visualize my energy going into them, I do it to where they just pop out. I think about, I ask something after I shield up and I've cut cords and all that jazz. And the ones that fly out, I mean, I was talking to my brother over at his house, showing him, we started talking about Hitler. Black-haired man out of my Sibila deck came out along with the death card. Boom, just like that. Whether that's just my belief about him, divination helps you know how to ask the questions, which helps you think. I also love divining rods.
Cool.
I have had a different energy healer that used the emotion code, and that was a good first step for me. But her religious belief, she couldn't get past a certain point. She wouldn't even go whether I had past lives because that went against her belief. So she took me so far, and then I had to kind of grow up and push myself out of the nest and go explore for myself. And found Ackville quite a few years later. I was on my own for a long time, but I needed that time alone to just sit and process and feel and remember and not look for validation. But now that I'm strong enough in that, I feel like I could talk or explore pretty much anything and not feel threatened or not feel the need to push my beliefs. And that's a really nice place. It took me a long couple of decades to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to dabble. I love divination. I love that personal responsibility and the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've done enough healing, it's not so complicated, and I don't have so many, so much trickery or, OCD thoughts in my mind, and, it's cleared out enough I can see and hear. But before, I needed someone else to help me, and that's okay.
I always seem to
still do.
I always seem to do tarot like in waves. Like when I'm doing it, I'll be doing it a bunch, and then it's like all of a sudden, next thing I know, I realize like I haven't done tarot in a while, and then it goes
I'm the
back there.
same way.
But then what winds up happening, it's because I do find it amazing because there's only so many cards, and it really amazes me how many times you draw out the same cards.
Oh, my biggest pet peeve, Kay, you would die. I argue with tarot readers like people do watching sports. That is not what the Ace of Cups reversed means. I get so bugged. And using major arcana and saying it's a person, dude, that's an outside energy. This is not a person. I get so mad when people use the system wrong because it's so beautiful. And that tarot reader did it. So now it just spreads like wildfire, that whole disinfo.
And everybody likes to forget that it's technically extremely personal as well. So if I use the tarot deck and I happen to notice that every time I draw 4 cups, I see a bluebird in the backyard, then it means that every time I see a 4 cups, I'm going to watch for a bluebird, and maybe no one else will know that.
Or when you see a bluebird, you'll you'll know that you need to like look over there and quit being disappointed.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like there's certain things that on a tarot deck, it really matters just to practice and become personal with it.
Well, and I love to have different decks. If I'm drawn to one, there'll be a certain image on that one that means something. Or certain days, certain images will jump out at me along with a feeling that has and depending on what card it's by, it's different every time. Mm-hmm. It's different every time. And yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Well, next time you have to have your tarot deck at the ready when you come on.
I know, I'll have to decide which deck.
There you go. I've always been a fan of the just the traditional, was it Waite's deck?
Rider-Waite.
Rider-Waite, yep. The symbols for that one just always worked fine and dandy for me. When it comes to symbolism, I'm very much a student of symbolism, and that
symbols are powerful. That's where the subconscious mind understands and speaks in.
And I look at that deck as truly a set of foundational symbolism. Yeah. I mean, whatever you want to do, whatever deck you want to use. I mean, in reality, it's still referenceable to that original deck is like, it's so base, like there's so much antiquity in the symbolism.
Yes.
It's worthy of eons worth of study right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was my first deck, and my dog chewed it up along with a big stick of selenite. I'm surprised it didn't hurt him. He was chomp on the selenite. I took some pictures to send to that dog shaming calendar because it's so great,
Oh, nice.
Oh, he's like so upset. So that one's chewed up, but I still have it. I still love it. But my favorite deck is actually
what happens when your dog wants to go astral?
What?
This is what happens when your dog wants to go astral. Starts eating tarot cards and chomping on selenite.
Oh my gosh, that stinker. Oh well. He's all clean now, energetically through and through. Yeah. There's some really good decks out there. I have a few I really love, but it depends on my mood and kind of what message needs to get to me,
So now, currently, with the state of your experiences, are you getting out of body in the evenings or at any point?
Nope. Okay. Not of my own free will.
Okay, 10-4. I can follow.
That's hopefully my next session with Agfil. That's what I'm hoping to get to. But I've had a lot of limitations, beliefs. You could even call them disorders. I have agoraphobia. I have a fear of people to keep me away from people, which is why I'm shaking and having a hard time on here. It was put there so that I don't speak my truth, and I'm pushing through it.
Cool.
And so that'll hopefully be the next session, and hopefully I will be able to, because I would like to go do what I want, not just learn. I mean, I've learned how to combat and be in better control in those situations, but no, I have not been like, I want to go here and do this. And no, I can't wait for that though. I'm excited for that. How about you?
Thing. I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, I have I have limitations as well currently, but I am working through that as well. I also have a session coming up with Ockville and Rich, I believe, and so that should be a lot of fun. I look forward to
Oh,
diving into my brain with them. I worked with another person here locally, and I know it can work. So it's I get that a lot of people can have a lot of doubts about these types of things if you haven't experienced it. I get it. Um, but the proof is in the pudding. And when you can have someone functionally pull um, ideas and memories out of your head without you verbalizing it, I-
yeah.
that's when stuff goes down.
The just Here's the thing. I'm out of body. I was out of body a lot growing up, but it was more of a dissociative disorder where, because so much was done and my body was so uncomfortable, my best friend would be like, Laura, what? You're swaying. Like I would be standing there, but I would, like, no one's home. I would be gone. Especially when things were stressful.
Hmm.
But it wasn't something I did and chose to leave, but I was often out of body. So I know it's very easy for me, but it's not something in my control. So
I gotcha.
that'll be
And,
fun though.
right. Do you happen to have a recollection, like, so at those moments when your friend would say to you that you were swaying, do you now have a recollection of like where you had gone? Like obviously you were physically swaying in front of your friend.
That's the hardest part. You know, when you wake up from a dream, if you can wake up slow, at least for me, if I can wake up slow, I usually get up, I set a slow alarm that's quiet music about half hour before I need to get up, so I can lay there and stay in that in, half out, quiet mind to recall the dreams. I love the dream state. I'm good at recall. I'm not good at going where I want. When I'm snapped awake fast, like the dog barks, someone bangs at the door, dude, fight or flight kicks on. My brain goes to the like amygdala. I'm so pulled into this reality to protect the meat suit that I'm not able to hang on to the memories.
Mhm.
And same with her pulling me out of that. Since I get pulled out quickly, it ruined any kind of recall that I would have.
Mhm.
So hopefully is that something that, since I feel more safe and I'll have more control, I'm hoping that will be something I can have, but no.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm sure. I know it is. So
Mhm. Interesting. Um, let's see what else I got here. Oh, have you had any times where I use the term like time dilation or manipulation? Have you ever experienced anything in your waking state where time seemed to move at a different rate, slower, faster?
yes, but I would say it was more like missing time than dilation. So
Okay.
it's so hard to know because I am such a person who's alone a lot that I have a hard time unless I'm with other people that are comparing. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have memory. Explain more what you mean by time
Time
dilation.
dilation to me is like, for me, I've had in my experience when something bad is happening, like I do trade work. Okay. So, um, I'll give an example of a time a valve blew off of a wall. We
Oh
were in a,
no.
we were in a sub basement, and it was freakishly loud. It was a high pressure natural gas line. It was like a 2-inch diameter pipe with a valve on it. Something I wasn't there working the job site. It wasn't my site. I was like dropping off parts for someone. I was in the area, and they were like, "Hey, can you go drop stuff off to these guys?" Or, yeah, no problem. Hey guys, how's it going? They told me to
This
bring
will be easy.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. This is supposed to be a no-brainer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
instead, I showed up on their site, and for whatever reason, I don't know, someone was charging something up, and next thing you know, this valve wasn't really on. Like it was supposed to be the isolation, um,
Yeah.
but it was like in the off position, but not screwed on the
Not
pipe.
screwed on, so it blew off.
Yeah, so someone
Oh,
turned the line on, and this thing just shot right across the room, and it sounded like a hand grenade went off, and now the line is also wide open and live because someone turned it on. So the line's just shooting gas into the room, and everyone.
Like, no
Yeah.
one smoke, please. Oh my
They were.
gosh.
I'm sure that someone was actively, technically. I'm sure something was going on, and it's an active job site, so there's active construction going on, and we're in
Yeah.
the basement. So everybody started hauling butt out of that room, but me, because I was like, "This,
You're stuck.
someone's got to get the valve on because it
Turn it
doesn't
off,
matter how
right?
fast they
There
run."
was no other valve. You had to
That's
actually, with
it.
all that
That's
pressure,
it.
screw it back on.
Yeah. So I opened up the valve. Because you can't get it on with the valve in the shut position. And then you have to open the valve, get it up, screw it onto the pipe, and then shut it. Okay. But in this
That sounds
moment,
like a nightmare.
it's not fun. It's like, that's bad day. But in that moment, everything switched for me. So like there was that pop, like the line of the sound of the valve coming off the threads is a very peculiar sound. And then it made that noise, followed by the valve like shooting across into the wall at like Mach 12, and everyone's skedaddling out of that room. At that point, everything to me, in my view, was in slow motion. Like them exiting the room was like they're going like really slowly out the room from my perspective, right? As I'm just turning towards the valve to pick up the valve, open the valve,
I have had that.
get the thing on the line, because it's just like, what are you going to do? And it's just, I get that time dilation in times of emergency. And I
Yeah.
also get,
Yes.
I would call it like a conscious expansion.
Yeah.
That for whatever reason, I now see every possible angle of everything. And since my perspective is so widely enhanced at that point in time, again, from my perspective, my feeling at that moment is actually very empowered. I actually like when these things happen because
Hmm.
I know I can't make a mistake. It's the weirdest thing. It's like all of a sudden, like when something very bad happens where my meat suit gets threatened, like 100%, like it seems like all cells in my body agree, like, all right, you're about to die, dude. So it's like almost like every one of them gets a perspective. Like I could see everything going on
Yeah.
and I can move with ease to make decisions because I'm well informed because now I have 10 trillion perspectives telling me everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So that to me is time dilation.
I have had that once, and it was when I, same thing, freaked out, in danger. I'm with my brother, and we are going on this it's called Geneva Road. It's like a, not a frontage road. It's anyway. And there's this really sharp turn, and it had there's railroad tracks. There must have been a bunch of like gravel or something all over. And the car went completely out of control. My brother is screaming, and he's like, how did you just know what to do? I'm thinking it wasn't even stressful. Like it was just I didn't even have to think. My body just knew how to react. I was calm. I was in the moment. I was in the zone, so to speak. And afterwards he's freaking out. And I actually felt almost like you said, like kind of euphoric and like I couldn't make a mistake. But if I'm only kind of freaked out, no, that won't happen. But it was like, we're going to die. We're going to die.
Yeah, it's like, I get people think like, they're like, oh, so that means you can't make it. It's like, if I'm going to punch you in the face, you're going to be able to stop it. No, I'm not a ninja.
You're like,
I'm totally
don't
not a
flatter
ninja.
yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I might be able to stop it, but I can't guarantee it. Like I could take a punch in the face just like anyone else. But what I'll say is like, technically I don't flip out when people draw guns and knives on me either though, because that's happened too. And it just is what it is. And for whatever happens, you switch. You do what you have to do at the times that you have to do things, whether it's like you said, a car coming at you or, the valve coming off the wall. It's just, there's a line that gets crossed and you technically do this to anyone and they can react the same way. You scare someone enough, you make them think that their life is in danger, you're going to get a different reaction out of that person than if you didn't cross that line.
Yeah. And I think that line is different for everybody too.
Yeah. The line is totally different for everybody, but assuredly, once you put someone in that position where they presume a possibility of peril, they're going to react very differently. And certainly everybody has different skill sets once you cross that line as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was raised in a neighborhood that was rather fisty, I guess you would say.
Fisty.
But it was also full of veterans, a lot of old veterans. And I used to tell people, I'm like, listen, don't go picking a fight with an old man.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
That dude has probably killed someone before, technically. And
Yeah, yeah.
if you scare him enough, he's just gonna kill you. He's not gonna punch you in the face. He's not gonna. He's just.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna make him cross the line. He's gonna kill you, and he knows how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but
Huh.
that's we grew up in a very a World War II oriented community. A lot of veterans in the neighborhood and stuff like that, and we were punk knucklehead kids for sure. But there's always lines to stay within.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now the SSP stuff in general, in your recollections, do you have anything in your experiences that is similar to SSP experiences? Anything off-world at all?
Not that I could know for sure was off-world, no.
Okay, 10-4.
Like that one little, well, I have like memories of missions, but off-world, I couldn't say if it was off-world or not.
Okay, fair enough. What
I
would
don't know.
be
I don't know yet.
10-4? Totally understood. Deciphering as you go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just use the term missions. Could you say a standard? Is there something that's typical?
Here's the thing where, and thank goodness Ackville helped me with this. I've had a lot of clones. Like she said, thousands. If they couldn't destroy me,
That you said
thousands of clones. Literally,
okay.
That's what Ackville said. And since they couldn't make me give up, they were going to use me like a battery, and the different clones, whether they're using them for missions or, sexual abuse, using it as a kind of like a voodoo doll type thing, to siphon energy from me to keep me weak here. I believe I was in some of those for these different missions.
Okay.
The one I have the clearest, longest memory of, I would assume is on Earth though. This one was more, it felt like CIA type spy stuff. I was on, it felt like an embassy because I was there with a fake son and a fake daughter and a fake husband, and I knew it was just a cover. And I was there I don't know if, and here's the weird thing, it blanks out where I don't know if I was the one who shot the white lady with blonde hair who was performing abortions, or if I was supposed to protect her and someone shot her through the window. I just know that I ditched my fake kids and my husband. I was supposed to walk out. It was along a seashore. I saw people with darker colored skin, and I was supposed to get the hell out of there. And I saw her get shot, through the window, it looked like, but I don't know if I was there like, hey, she's by the window, or if I was the one that was supposed to protect her. That's one that's very clear to me that I don't know why. Maybe since I was not very worried and didn't feel so personally hands-on that I have that memory. Other ones, like I said before, are much more snippety or more in those training programs, whether those could just be to, get loose and stressed for me. It may not be missions. I don't really know how to differentiate some of those experiences from missions versus dream state that felt real. In fact, Ackville, one thing she did tell me was she described what I believe is a trip seat, saying I was sitting tied down and there was technology that read all of my past lives, and to torture me, it inserted false past life memories where I was being, outcast, abused, shunned. People were going to hurt me, that they hated me and going to abandon me just to bleed over into this life. So I still am trying to differentiate what are real past life memories, what were missions, what were implanted. So I guess that one I'm going to have to wait and see. I almost don't want to speak on it until I don't know. I really don't feel sure enough, other than that one that's very clear, to know which is which with the memories. I don't know what, I'm still sorting through a lot of that.
So. A lot of unpacking in life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What about could you say what time period it was that you started doing the work on yourself? You
Oh,
started saying like, "Hey, you know what?
oh, stuff's not how it seems kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah." Like when would you say exactly like that? Like you would say, "You know what? I'm realizing that my life and my life experience is different than those around me, and I have to put forth a
Oh,
different effort."
that.
Right? So now,
Okay.
like when your effort started to change, where you started realizing I'm a different person. I have to do things differently. When did you start addressing yourself differently?
I feel like I went through a few of those like false start awakenings and I got crushed. Like when I got put in a treatment center as a teenager called Lifeline,
Okay.
literally brainwashing.
Okay.
Um, the abuse, I believe every time if you're a threat, you start to wake up, they try to crunch you. But
Mhm.
after enough times where you put yourself back together, oh, I'm one of those Japanese plates. There's more platinum or gold than there is plate. It's like
I got you.
somewhere on the inside of my chalice now. You know, at a certain point, I'm strong enough where I'm growing out of it. But the part where I really, it kind of goes hand in hand with me realizing that my belief system wasn't true. And I don't really care who that offends. I'm not saying it to be offensive. It was in protecting I raised a stepson who's now 20. He was going through a lot of really bad abuse. And we didn't understand that his mom could be doing this as an altar and then not remembering. And he would draw pictures and love her, but then draw her eyes dark black. And we were, I didn't know that we were being targeted. We thought we just had private investigators. I didn't know what a targeted individual was. I assumed it must be just the private detective stalking us for court. So a lot of it overlapped, and it took me a long time with using my belief system and it not working, calling on certain names and having entities laugh in my face, try to have waves of tired come over me to pull me into realms and do things where I could feel them doing things to my body while I was trying to stay awake. And um, dealing with the child abuse system through the courts and how corrupt it was. When I started standing up to that and seeing what kind of spiritual and energetic backlash there was, which my religion and my belief system was not protecting from. And then people telling you you're just not doing it right, or oh, you're just evil. And when I don't have room to shove down dishonesty. I'm so full of stuff I need to heal. It just chew back out,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
There's no room. So I had to get to where I knew, and I knew I was trying. I knew I worked hard to get to the church I was in, and it was LDS, the LDS church, and get to the temple. And I had done this way after the fact and had worked so hard through healing through the treatment center, being told I was an addict and things, which it made me one. um, so it took me like 15 more years of healing to get to the root issues and then figure out this isn't because I'm unworthy, because I've done the work. I have healed and my intuition is right on. But these names I'm told to call on and these systems and these blessings I was given, literally hands-on blessings, they're not happening. And it's not because I'm not worthy. It's not because I'm not praying. It's not because I'm not reading my scriptures. It's not because I'm not going to church and I'm not paying my tithing. I was doing all these things and my heart was trying to protect one of the sweetest little kids.
Mhm,
And he's a special person. I
mhm.
mean, we all are, but the ones that are targeted and abused at young ages, they're threats. They don't waste their energy. Thieves don't rob empty houses.
True. Good point. That's a
And
very good
how much?
point.
I mean, we went through the system. We had the head founder of BACA, JP Lilly, was our play therapist. You can't brainwash a kid with play therapy. We had lawyers say, "What the heck? Like, how is this going? How the ad litem shaking in his boots, standing up for this kid?" I mean, I made my ex-husband go to court alone because the judge that was overseeing the case was my bishop in the church and stake president growing up, and we believed he was a good man. And when we found out he maybe wasn't, me and my family went to court. He saw that he knew us very, very well, and he went against the law and refused to dismiss the case, lied to us, ended up signing their order because it's all secret handshake crap behind the scenes, doesn't matter. And then later in the LDS temple telling my parents, "Oh, my hands were tied." "Oh, I'm sure they were, buddy. Oh, I'm sure they were." That was the time where I had to let go of my belief systems and I had to jump out because things weren't matching up.
Mhm.
I'd been working on my healing and my intuition. And it took that catalyst where I had to care about someone else that seemed helpless in a child, probably mirroring all of those dreams that had reinforced that protecting a child is a curse and a blessing. Where that's when I woke up, was when I was trying to protect some innocent other person that I loved. And I was so overprotective of my kids. They couldn't get to my kids. I wouldn't do daycare. I didn't, they had to go after my stepson.
I feel like I've heard a lot of folks speak ill of LDS, Latter-day Saints, for folks that don't know. I mean, I've not myself personally, I can't say that I've crossed paths with people that speak well of it, other than people that are trying to hand me literature. Like those people are always speaking very highly of it, the ones that are trying to hand me paperwork on it. But I feel like afterwards, when I meet real human beings that have been exposed to more than just the paper pusher, it seems to have negatively impacted their world a lot. It's sad.
It's hard to get out of, though. It
Yeah, I
has
hear that too. It
it's like,
saddens me to hear you bring
what
up
was
LDS.
that movie, like in the 50s, where it looked really pretty, but it wasn't. It was really creepy. Has this like beautiful veneer whitewash over it, but it's just rotten. What's the name of that show?
A Clockwork Orange.
Pleasantville.
Oh, Pleasantville. I'm thinking
That
of it.
is like
Clockwork Orange
Mormonism.
was supposed to be about like things being not the way they were too, but Pleasantville, yes.
I don't know if I've seen the other. It's trauma bonding. It's Stockholm's. It's cultish. It's multi-generational. You're put in a double bind at 18 months. That causes schizophrenia. That causes paranoia. And then they're giving you the answer to that. You're told something loves you and it's the only way you can be saved is through this thing. And then you're this being, and then you're told that you caused him suffering. You know what that does to an 18-month, 2, 3-year-old? Someone died for your sins, but you haven't sinned. You're a child. Oh, we all love him, Jesus. Jesus loves you.
I'm sorry, you said 18-month-old?
Yes.
I'm
That's
sorry.
when nursery starts.
I thought you said 18-year-old.
No, months. You're put in nursery at 18 months, given cookies and singing songs about Jesus.
You have to clarify this. I've never heard this mentioned before. So you're telling me that at 18 months, there is a
indoctrination starts.
An indoctrination that occurs.
It's a little primary class during church when there's a sacrament meeting when all the families are in one group. People are up at the podium, like you see a big church, huge congregation. Then there's other portions of the church meeting where people split into age appropriate classes. Nursery, I always stayed with my kids. I don't trust anybody. Parents can go there, but a lot of them can't. They have to go teach their own classes, like young women's, young men's. I taught young women's, or no, it was the young, what was it? 9 to 11-year-old girls. Achievement days. Anyway, crazy crap. The lingo is kind of blocked from trauma with me. But at 18 months, often you can just drop off the kids.
And what is this what's this spiel that they're introing them with? What is this double bind?
It's very basic. Double bind, that term is when you're having to hold two conflicting beliefs, and it is one of the root causes it's taught that cause schizophrenia, because you cannot reconcile two opposing beliefs, and they're put in your mind at the same time, like the double speak, double think, from 1984.
So what is this double bind they present to this youthful mind that
you're given cookies? So there's that sugar, there's that candy and association, pictures of Jesus, songs, Jesus loves you, you love Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to sacrament meeting and you hear, whether you understand or not, your subconscious is getting this, that Jesus died for your sins. And then creepy songs like suffer the little children to come to me. Oh, that sounds like Baal or something to me. That sounds like freaking Moloch. No, thank you. They didn't have to choose the word suffer in the scripture,
Okay, so what I'm learning right now from your description,
you, but he's the only way you can get to heaven. How can that be?
I know this song.
Do you?
I went to Catholic school, so this is, in a way, this is hilarious to me. I apologize.
Creepy.
I apologize because it's what you're telling me is horribly wrong. I get it. But I'm laughing because I'm sitting here in one perspective, criticizing this LDS upbringing that you were exposed to and the horrible LDS people, right?
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I'm going, wait a minute, but this is the exact same thing they did to us at Catholic school. They just called it something different.
Well, they're doing the same blood rituals and mock cannibalism and blood magic and
Yeah, suffer the
all of
children to
those,
come to me. I feel
yeah,
like I can hear the person at the lectern saying, "Please open your hymnals to verse 3-5 and
yeah,
sing along with suffer on the children to come to me."
yeah.
Followed
Father,
by "Be not
we're
afraid."
coming. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much there that just because it's common,
Mhm.
just because it's been around a long time does not mean it's not damaging, powerful, and evil.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah, like in
I
a
wanted
way.
that to be the answer. Oh my gosh, I wanted that to be true. And it took me a while to set that down, and it was really hard, but it's okay. There's a lot of truth in it. It's just not what you think. It's not, you're
The
cursing
clouds
yourself.
didn't part and come fix all your problems. You
Yeah.
you
You
must
know
not
what
have prayed
kills me
enough.
about the belief systems like that? Okay, if you had an earth on lockdown and you were feeding off of these beings, if people came in, I hate to use the word mission, but they came in, they accepted to come and help wake people up here.
Mhm.
What are you going to teach those people when, after you brainwipe them, that choose to incarnate here to save people? Turn the other cheek. Someone's coming to save you. You're evil. You're unworthy. You need help. You're a sinner. Only way is through this guy, no one else. Well, you're neutering all the people who came to help.
Yep.
That's what I would do if I was evil.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Change the dynamic and change the story and hide the truth. Yeah, absolutely. Makes
Or
perfect
twist
sense.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, with religion, it kills me. If you had children that you loved, would you refer to them as fish or sheep? Are those on your equal level? Do you not eat and use those for,
Mhm.
trade, or the wool they're making as a product, or actually like, yum, fatten that one up, I'm going to eat it?
Yeah.
They're telling you what they're doing. No one wants to see it though.
There's many ways to look at this planet as a farm for human beings. It's just like it's a good
Oh,
debate that could be had.
if there's any way to exploit, they have found a way and a loophole, and they have found a way for us to give permission. So, I mean, we just got to grow, I think, to where they can't reach us energetically, but it's not going to happen. No one's going to come save you. We're the ones that we've been waiting for. We're here and we got what it takes, but it's not going to just be given to us. It's not some chosen people. Oh my gosh, some of my tarot readers I love.
I think it was
Oh,
think it was Henry Ford, I think, said something to the effect of that it's very I'm paraphrasing. It's
oh,
very
I do that
good
all the
that
time.
it's very good that the American people don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes because surely there'd be riots by morning.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I don't know the exact quote either, but
Uh-huh.
I don't think people want to know. I think they want their like matrix scene, put me back in. I want to know that I don't want to know that those ones and those aren't stake. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? You'll never get out. And at a certain point, you do get degraded. And I think, I don't want to say anyone's beyond hope, but you can only be fractured so much where if no one's coming to save you and you're responsible for protecting yourself,
Mhm.
you have free will, and free will is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and the fracturing is it's not bad. I think that's also it's also a misconception in our society, right?
Yeah.
That people try to think of it as a schism means bad. Uh, nah, not in the slightest. I mean, it's compartmentalization. We see plenty of organizations
Oh,
that
once that's
realize
healed,
the
oh my
value
gosh.
of compartmentalization of information. So just because
Yep.
the psyche naturally knows this, I mean, first and foremost, we're natural, right?
Yeah.
We're of this nature. So when these things occur, it is natural,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
natural mechanism for our
Supra-natural, not super, supra.
okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Yep. So it's a benefit to be
Very
fractured
nature.
technically because you are using more of your faculties that other people aren't.
Yes. And just because trauma forced those open doesn't mean, dude, you know what? When you have 100 plates spinning,
Hmm.
that doesn't, yeah, it's bad if trauma is what induced it. But guess what? You now have that many things you can have moving once you've cleaned them out and healed. That's how many options you can have running for
Yes.
good, for
Yep.
healing, for abilities. I mean,
Now,
yes, they do artificially do that, but we naturally would get to that point without the trauma. They're just lazy, like shocking
mhm.
things and stressing them to grow faster. Yeah, it works, but
Imagine that you're fracturing a psyche and it's it's splitting out and it's splitting out and it's splitting out. And from one perspective, somebody might be like, ah, look, we have control because when we do this, it runs away, is what people think of.
Yeah.
It's kind of that's a temporary situation technically,
Yes.
because what's going on is it's expanding. The aggressor is focusing on a position of attack, while that position is not causing the demise of the thing. It's causing
No.
it to spread out and have the ability to understand you greater, and it will regroup and figure you out.
Yeah.
And that's where the superpower comes in, is because now
Yes.
this person has this new tool set, and if you keep poking and prodding, you're effectively making it grow.
Yes. Yes. And we live forever. I mean, not eternity. Eternity is one big wheel all the way around, like forever, like way outside of this crap where we can't be killed. We can't. We eventually will all be out of this, but it's just how long do you want to suffer, and how many times do you want to go back to your vomit? Do you want to keep letting someone else mess with you and grow? I don't want to grow warped is my problem. I want to be in harmony. And I want to be the one judging what's used where. I want to clean those faculties out and use them how I want.
Right.
But thanks for teaching me.
It's funny. I like how you said to be put in harmony, and then people would like almost in a way be like, well, you're the one being not harmonizing with society by choice. And I would laugh and say, yes, that's true, because why would you want to be in harmony with that frequency? That's a bad frequency.
Society.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the saying that like fitting in with the sick society is no sign of health? I'm paraphrasing very.
But I can follow the logic. Yeah. It's fitting in an insane society is not a good option. So
something like exactly. I'm sure glad this isn't home to me. I'm just here visiting and doing a job and like
and this isn't the end all say all of experience. It's
starting to get fun, I should say. It's starting to get good for me. I have enough healed that tipping point doesn't feel. I used to feel like my issues were, instead of bobbing for apples in a barrel, I felt like my barrel must go down like 50 stories full of apples. And I really would cry thinking, there's so much. Will I ever be able to heal and be of use to anyone in this lifetime? I was really worried. And that's where people like Akfil come in and help just like boom and help sort things, where to me, I feel like after, 20, 30 years of healing, I'm finally to the point where the categories are there. Some of the basic work and figuring out is done, where I don't hate this place as much. I don't like how it is, but now I'm like, I didn't realize how strong I was. I didn't realize that I can never die. Now that I know that, I can see how it could get pretty fun.
Yeah, it's definitely. I believe that's a very empowering thought that has been suppressed in society for eons. That all the religions and institutions very much want us to think that when we die, everything's over.
Oh, one and done. The whole YOLO. Oh my gosh, I cringe every time someone says that crap. I'm like,
you only live once. Yeah, knucklehead.
No. Life's about to get good. It is. And it's just, I don't want to go back to my vomit anymore. I don't want to hang on to those belief systems like that, like the raccoon where it's shiny and you don't want to let go. But like, come on, there's so much. And we are so capable.
Yeah.
I
think everybody
these abilities, if we heal them, we get to use them. We get to play with them instead of being used.
Correct. And we can turn other folks onto the idea that they can do it as well.
The 100 monkey syndrome. I mean, we are part monkey. Not everyone has to. There's a tipping point, and I think we're getting close enough, which is why there's so much panic and so much fear and gun grabs and whatever. Dude, we're getting so close to that 100 monkey syndrome. Not everyone has to learn everything. There will be a tipping point. The super conscious mind, boom. I feel like we're pretty close.
I forgot about that. All right, everybody. So now you really got to share, subscribe, move these videos around and get everybody thinking this way. I never really thought about the 100th monkey option technically. I just kept thinking we would have to do it one by one, but you're right. We'll cross a line at some point and it'll just happen.
But I think we all have different aspects that we are like, there's the 100 monkey for this subject. There's the 100 monkey for that. And so really trust your path and what's coming and what you've experienced. So as you heal, you're going to be one of those 100 monkeys. And I'm going to be one of these 100 monkeys. And I think it's culminating as we all work on this, that and it's not going to be all boom at once, but I think there's a trend where it's getting, I think that's why there's so much panic. It's all or nothing. And we live forever. We can live without the parasites. Parasites can't live without the host.
True.
They got nothing to lose. We got everything to gain. Life's about to get good.
I like the sounds of that, Laura. Well, you know what? How about this? Let's we've been chatting for quite a bit, and I think that is a very positive note for us to land on, is that life is getting good and people are waking up, and we have this 100th monkey concept that could be right around the corner. I mean, imagine if tomorrow everybody
I feel it. I feel hope. I do. And I'm not delusional, positive, woo woo.
I like it. Well, thank you very much for coming on to the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And if you want to discuss things more in the future, just don't hesitate to reach out. I am very interested in tarot stuff. So even if you just wanted to
we can play with some cards.
Yeah, play with some cards or something like that. If you wouldn't mind deciphering my experience through tarot one day.
I would love it.
That would be a blast. So maybe we can do that in the future.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening today and checking out Deciphering My Experience, and Laura deciphering her experience today. So have a great day. Like, share, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, folks. Have a good one.
Thanks, Eric.